Well done! Well done!
Welcome to the Sorry You're in My Seat podcast. I'm your host for this week. My name's Aaron, and I'm joined with...
My name is James.
Hello, and I'm Sam.
Oh, how you doing, guys?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah.
I'm also all right, thank you for asking. I am here.
Yes, Sam is here. It's been a week since our last podcast. This is podcast number 3. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm quite excited about this one, to be fair.
Maybe one day you'll actually be able to hear these.
They are out on Podbean.
I know they are. That was the plug. The plug to say they are now available.
Yeah. So we finally got them on Podbean. This is episode 3. Episode 1 has only just gone out. So by the time you hear this, we did this 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. How is the future, guys? Tell us.
Last week we discovered that zombie films can be really tiring.
Yeah. Have you recovered?
No.
Have you?
No, I still have zombie fatigue.
No.
But to be fair, we did have dedication.
I knew you was going to say that joke.
I just wanted to get it before
He's been holding that one all week, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He was itching to say it last week.
No, but 17 zombie movies in a week and then reviewing them at the end of the week, it was really tiring. It was fatiguing. I'm glad that that's done. I've put zombies to rest in my mind for quite a while, until probably the Resident Evil episode that we'll do further down.
But the episode went quite well. I quite like listening back to it and going over the films again.
So I know we watched a lot of zombie movies last week. Just quickly, I don't want to go through them. Was there any that we forgot to mention?
Zombie films that we've seen.
Yeah, that we thought we didn't get around to talking to, but that we would quickly mention. Because I would like to say Maggie, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was different.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
We did say
and
we
we
were going to
didn't
mention
and
that
we didn't
one.
talk about that.
What
So I
a
like that
shame.
one.
Yeah, no, well done. Well done.
I quite like Maggie. It's a good film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Slow burner, but it gets there.
It
Good old Arnie.
completely different as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, well done for remembering that.
I'll think about that if there's any other zombie films that I think should be worth mentioning. But I must admit, halfway through this week, I was so relieved that I didn't have to put on another zombie film.
Only because Tom Hanks has never done a zombie film.
Yeah, which led us
has he not?
to the theme this week, which was Tom Hanks films, which is the perfect way to reset oneself after a stressful week of zombie films. Is to be entertained by the soft glow that is Tom Hanks.
Sorry. It's just that is actually genuinely the most perfect way to describe Tom Hanks.
He's
a warm glow.
He's a hug, you said last week.
He's a beautiful man, and he's done some great films, which we'll discuss later on. But in the meantime, how has your week been? Been fun?
Yeah, well, I'm working a lot, so I didn't get to blast through as many, because Tom Hanks does not do short films. So I didn't get to watch as many as I wanted, but, just been waiting for today.
No, again, my thing is I didn't realise how many films he starred in that I actually really, really like. No, we'll talk about them later, but I also had time to go to the cinema and see some other films. So I did have a break from Tom Hanks, which is when we did the zombie episode. All I did was watch zombies, and it bored me towards the end.
Here's a question. How was your week, Aaron?
It's been stressful.
Tell us about it.
Why?
I've had a tiring week. I'll be honest, my work is the kind of work that I take home with me sometimes. So I'm not a hang your hat up kind of guy. I go home and sometimes I take it home with me.
For those who don't know, Aaron always wears a hat. He never takes it off.
A beanie. No, but yeah, so I had this meeting midweek on Wednesday morning, something that I've been kind of dreading for a while now. Sat around the table with the chief execs of Lincolnshire NHS, the top dogs, the big salaries, that kind of stuff.
Salaries.
Yeah, I had to present to them some work research that we've been doing, and all week I've been dreading this meeting. And what happened was it went really well. I was really excited that I didn't get laughed at or I didn't get shouted at.
Nobody laughed at you?
No.
That is a fantastic start.
And they normally...
Sorry.
They normally grill you as well. They normally
really?
they're quite brutal. And so as I was leaving, the main top dog, the clinical chief operator of Lincolnshire NHS stood up. He put his hand up, and I don't know why, I fist bumped him. And
it seems that every month you have a story how someone went to shake your hand and you high-fived him.
I've never
or
fist bumped anyone in my life.
How curious, how did that go down?
He just stared at me.
Do you still have a job?
I thought he was going to file an assault charge or something. Just staring at me in disbelief that I just fist bumped him.
What you should have done is, because you were already too deep, you should have then quickly plugged the podcast. You were already too deep, mate. You should have gone, oh, just listen to Sorry You're in My Seat.
And then I was very conscious of how hot it was in the room, and I wore these woolen trousers. I don't know why, and then I just started itching all over, like I had some kind of disease.
How quickly
So
after
you're
the
the
fist
flea
bump was it fist bump itch?
Yeah. And then I realised that this.
So was it just you and them in the room and you're just itching?
Yeah. And then
Christ. Just got his image of you with these giant woolen things. He probably thought you were a mental case.
yeah. And
after you left, you probably went, right, so when's Aaron getting here?
it gets worse.
Oh, well, God, keep going.
On the way out, I went, I'll turn a fan on because it was red hot, and then I knocked it over, which knocked a jug of milk over.
In the heat.
Yeah.
Which turned immediately to yogurt.
There was like a bit for making teas and coffees because I was presenting just before they break for lunch. It tends to be when you want to speak to those top dogs, you get them just before lunch. You kind of get that 10-15 minute window with them, and that's where I thought I'd go in and talk about what we've been doing. And I died. I literally died, and then I left, and I thought, well, thank God I get to watch a Tom Hanks film tonight.
So he saved your day.
He saved my day.
I'm looking
Well
forward
done,
to
Tom.
next week when Aaron burns down an orphanage.
When I'm looking for a job.
You know what I'd love if after he leaves, the guy's just like, that guy's spunk.
I was going to say, they probably respected you, mate.
Next time
no one else is going to come here and spill milk on a
Next
very,
time you
very
see him,
warm
he's
day.
wearing like old 80s sunglasses and a backwards cap.
Yeah.
He's like, sup, Aaron, fist bump.
The thing
You
is-
still screw that up and try high five him.
Yeah, I will. The thing is, I already stand out because I'm a bit younger. I think I'm half the age of most people in that room, and it's something that I've always been quite proud of. Is I'm quite a young person in there.
And the smell's normally quite off-putting as well, isn't it?
There's that, yeah. And then, and you know, I've got kind of like the tattoos and a bit of a beard and long hair and that case. So I do feel a bit self-conscious sometimes that like I'm quite privileged to be in this situation, and then I just consistently cock it up by doing this kind of stuff.
Picking your nose and not realising.
No, I wouldn't do that. Oh no, right. But and then actually, and then on Thursday, I went to another meeting.
I just want to point out he got this from picking your nose.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It's I went to another meeting and there was a kind of round the table, stand up and say who you are kind of situation.
Those awkward meeting ones.
Yeah, break the ice kind of thing. Yeah, and didn't realise that the guy next to me, so we were going around the table and the guy next to me, it was his turn and he just sat there and so like everyone's looking and I went, it's your turn kind of thing. It's you. And he went, oh, I'm blind. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, and then he stood up and then he said, oh, I'm here representing the blind charity. I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to like tell him that it was his go. And I'm like, sure, go mate. You know, everyone's waiting.
Get up.
Yeah. So I can put my foot in it quite well. So Tom Hanks has really saved me this week. So I've been able to go home and just de-stress with some Tom Hanks.
Fantastic.
Every time you meet that bloke, you're going to have to fist bump him so he doesn't think it was a
I'm
one-off.
not going to meet him again. I'm going to spend the rest of my career hiding from him. Retirement can't come quick enough for that man.
Do you know what? I'm going to put it out this now. When you were telling me that joke, I just wanted to say that bloke probably went, how dare he? But I decided not to because pun is the worst form of comedy.
Yes.
So
What I don't get is why was you with the chief medical officer when you were a whale trainer? That's a bit odd.
Yeah. I'm actually a space cowboy by
Yeah,
trade.
I've heard that.
Right. Last week, as we were talking about, we did zombies.
Yes.
Not much to say on that other than,
No.
say, fatiguing and tiring. Around the office, though, someone did point out, they said, there's never been a scary zombie movie. And I thought, well, let's park that and let's discuss it now. Is that true?
No, I think when I first watched World War Z, that because it was new and a bit different, it was a bit freaky. I've never watched one and been scared of it, but that freaked me out a little bit and left me feeling a little bit uneasy.
weirdly, the scary elements of a zombie film are very rarely the zombies, they're other survivors. One film we didn't talk about, 28 Days Later, Christopher Eccleston's character is quite scary because he's an army general that's kind of lost the plot a little. So
Yeah, I'll be honest, actually, yeah, both of them films, they did freak me out a bit.
But when you mentioned World War Z, another point I didn't bring up last week is World War Z is, to me, parts of it I don't like is because it's the whole practical versus CGI effect type thing, and I can never get scared of a CGI monster because it looks fake, so it'll never draw me in enough to be scared by it.
Yeah. They should have got some real zombies, shouldn't they?
they should have done. Yeah.
I think if someone like Del Toro did a zombie film,
I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think that'd be really good. I think it's kind of like the Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy.
Yeah.
It did The Shape of Water, which was
He did
brilliant
Shape of Water,
this
yeah.
year. It won the Oscar, actually, we should say.
It did.
If he did a zombie film, I think I'd be really into it. And I think
different.
Yeah, because Pan's Labyrinth, some of the scenes in that are really dark.
Well, I could be like completely off base here, but I'm fairly certain that he did Blade 2. And what I quite like about Blade 2 is the evolution of vampires is they're actually like crack addicts. So he puts like a new spin on it. And I think, if you did something with zombies, not necessarily make them smack addicts, but he would bring something different, which would be very unique and quite watchable.
Yeah.
I have, I've wrote a zombie film. There's a script for a zombie film.
Okay.
I have. I'm not going to talk about it now because I think we're zombied out, but I think I've told you about it before. It's about they find a cure for a zombie plague, and it's about dealing with the aftermath.
Okay.
And it's around the idea of, and I'm only saying this now to record it so I can copyright it in case anyone else, because this is done before. I've said, this will make a good film, and 2 years later it's come out, and I'm like, I'm certain I said that.
Do you know what? I had exactly this, right? Genuinely true story. I had the exact same storyline for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then it came out 2 years later, and I remember thinking, I'm being watched. So
I've wrote this really good idea around a zombie film where they find the cure and people return to being human. So it's not your decaying zombies, it's more your World War Z sprinters, but they return to being human, and it's about the aftermath of those that can't deal with who they might have killed or what they might have done when they were plagued.
do it quite indie, low budget as well.
Yeah, and it was about someone who had it's a failing veterinarian, so her business went down when the plague hit, and now she opens up a theatre more to help those that she sees a business opportunity. Let's just put it that way. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but she sees a business opportunity to.
Is it because you haven't thought about that?
No, it's quite dark, so I didn't want to like.
All right, that makes sense.
I didn't want to bump people out with
family show, James.
Yeah. So it's So I think I'm zombied for a bit. I'm going to part of that.
Cool. Line under it. Next week's episode.
Yeah.
Well, last week's episode. You're listening to this.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
We'll always just
it's like Inception with time zones, isn't it? With these podcasts,
yeah, I can't do it.
Cinema trips. You guys went to see a film without me that I wanted to go see.
Yes, went to see Hereditary.
I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm going to take a swig of a nice drink while you guys talk.
Should I take this one, James?
You take this one, and then we'll discuss it afterwards, my friend.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, it's right on my street. It's a horror film. It rated so highly. How different it is. There's no jump scare in it. It's all natural suspense, and I was so excited. The guy that lives with me, he told me just how like screwed up it was. He said he was talking about getting counselling afterwards. He says, all the lights are on in the house and X, Y, Z. It just wasn't that good.
What's the setup? What's the story?
Well,
I'm really interested to see what you say about this.
Yeah, I'm not overly sure, to be honest.
It's about a bereaving family.
It's about a bereaving family. It starts off the grandmother had died, and it's dealing with her death, and then another family member dies, and as after
is then how she deals with that as well.
Yeah, how she deals with that.
Is also goes into this other storyline about like secrets that people have got and how well do you actually really know your family and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole Satanism background to it, and like a bit of a cult thing, which they don't really go into that much. Start off with, do they?
No, I don't know what it is that's so scary about cults, to be honest. I never really find them.
It's a deep dive into a family's history that unravels some unsettling truths.
Yeah, it is. I don't know.
It's Toni Collette.
Toni Collette is actually fantastic.
She is a brilliant actress. And I think back to Sixth Sense. And when I saw the trailer for this, I was thinking Sixth Sense because she played the mother in that.
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, that, I clearly remember watching that film and that film terrifying me when I was younger. And this, I thought this had them kind of vibes.
Right. So I genuinely know what you think. I thought it was going to be more psychological horror. And in its defense, it is. And when Sam says there's no jump cuts, it does a really good job of building up to really good payoffs, I'd imagine. So we've all been in a situation where it's dark at night and you see something in the corner of your room that looks a bit out of place. This film draws focus to that. Now, normally in a horror film, it would then run at you, or it would be just like a zombie or something, and it would cut away, and then you'd think it's all in your brain. This one kind of like leaves this obscure shape that could be a person, or it could not be, and it does this throughout the first half of the film. And I've really liked it. It's natural. The music's actually fantastic in it. It really builds it up. Gabriel Byrne as the dad, I can identify with because about towards the end of the film, he just does not care anymore.
Yeah,
Happened to Gabriel Byrne.
he's really good.
He did the
isn't
usual suspects, and then he disappeared, and then he showed back up in Hereditary.
End of Days, which is a good
I quite
film.
like End of Days. Yeah.
Which one was End of Days?
The one where he plays the devil
Schwarzenegger.
and he goes to war with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I have seen it.
It's the turn of the millennium.
Yeah.
But no, Hereditary for me fails in that it gets so formulaic towards the end, like the cult and things like that. And all these people telling me it's different and it's new, and I didn't think it was. I can think of other films that were done the same thing, that natural build of suspense. It didn't grab me. And there are 2 deaths in it, and one of them, mate, I couldn't stop laughing.
Okay, but so the film has so many elements of other films that have done it better, which links into what I was kind of alluding to with Skyscraper, is that when you do a film that takes so much from another film, if you're not going to make it better than them other films, then what was the point?
Yeah, there was some very good scenes in here, which I'll not go into because I don't want to ruin the film, but there were some very good films. There was 1 or 2 scenes that you look at and it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable with what's happening. But I don't know, just after watching it, I walked away very, very disappointed. But I think because I went in there with such high expectations of it because of what everyone had said. I mean, I was genuinely scared walking into that cinema. I thought, I'm going to crap myself during this. And I was just glad James came with me because I thought if I was watching this on my own, I wouldn't hack it.
I think I'm the wrong person to go see that film with because I could not take that film seriously.
You was terrible.
And I'm not joking. At one point, I couldn't stop laughing.
I heard that you broke the code.
You did break the code. But bearing in mind, we're here doing a podcast about, there's a whole cinema code behind it.
When I started laughing?
Yes, when you started laughing at a death scene and someone talking about how their child had died and you started laughing.
It was not done very well, in my opinion.
And you couldn't hold that laugh in.
Mate, I think I started shaking with laughter because I tried to hold it in. But
he made his point.
But no, on the whole...
We get it, James. We get it.
On the whole, it was all right.
You're better than for horror. We get it.
But acted very well. I don't actually have a problem with any of the acting. I do have a problem with the storyline and the ending. Just end 10 minutes earlier. Let me go home.
So who would you recommend this for?
Well, here's the thing. I can't think of when you'd want to watch this film. And I would like to point out, myself and Sam are in the minority. A lot of people like this film. A lot of feedback on the internet telling us that they were scared to walk home. I
very highly rated.
So it's just us 2 who apparently are the only ones that did not like it.
I think it will come out more than likely on Now TV, but by Halloween, I think it's probably going to be the release. So I'll definitely give it a watch, and because it's left the cinema now, so it's in that void of time where you just got to wait for it to come out.
Yeah.
You also tried to go to the cinema and failed.
Yeah, as you 2 know, I have a massive, I've not got anxiety, but I have anxieties about doing things for the first time. And it's quite weird because it could just be going to a sports game for the first time, going to this concert for the first time because I've never been there before. I've never been to cinema on my own. So I plucked up the courage. I know you 2 didn't want to go to the Purge film. I'm a big fan of the Purge films.
I would like to point out you picked a day where we were both at work as well.
I know, but I know you 2 didn't want to go to it because you had both said that anyway.
I've missed 2 Purge films in the meantime.
yeah, exactly.
So you want to be able to understand the highly cerebral storyline of the Purge films.
Well, before Sam gets into the story, it's got really good reviews. It has got really good reviews.
I think it's because it's a product of its time as well now, because a lot of people are genuinely worried that might actually happen.
But it's quite weird, I was talking to someone just before we go into it. I was texting someone on the way to the cinema, and I said, I'm going to go see the Purge film. And she said to me, oh, what are you going to see that crap for? They're all the same. So I started discussing the premise of all 3 films, and she said, to be fair, I've only seen the first one. I went, so how do you know they're all the same then? How can you say they're all the same? Because they're all called Purge.
I watched the first one, and I did enjoy the first one. In fact, I recommended the first one to you.
You did, yeah.
I would like to point out that the Purge is a really good premise.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think, but also, I know is this the 4th film?
Yes, it's a prequel.
It's a prequel,
You could do quite a lot with it. But I always thought, my problem with the second one, which I've seen the first one, I haven't seen the third one or the latest one. The second one got, again, a bit too samely into like the action side of things. Whereas the first one was kind of like implied horror, they're outside the house. It's like we were talking about The Strangers the other day, because you were in type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you say that they are on about turning it into a TV show, which I do hope.
It probably work.
Yeah,
I can imagine it working.
So you was on your way to the cinema.
Yeah, so I was on the way to the cinema, and I really plucked up the courage. I was quite looking forward to it, but I did do it during the day when I thought, no one else will be there. It'll still take a bit of time to go in the evening on my own. And
thanks for looking at me.
I got outside. Yeah, James. I got outside the cinema. I was just about to walk in, and one of our friends, Aaron, walked past me, who has just got a 10-week-old baby who I've not seen in a year, and started chatting, and you could just tell that she's in that stage of motherhood at the minute of, I don't get to do anything at the moment. So she's like, do you want to join me for a coffee? And I thought, 10 minutes. And then it's a 4-hour wait for the next showing. You can't say no, can you? So I went, yeah, all right then.
I think you did the honourable thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was good to catch up with her.
Sure, damsel in the distress.
Absolutely. So I went, bought her a coffee, sat there for a bit. And then afterwards I thought, well, I'm closer to home than the cinema now. So I just went home again and watched another zombie film here. So
failed attempt. So
failed attempt.
What's your anxiety there then? Is it that you're going to get to the stand and the person's going to
going to laugh at you and go,
"You ticket for one, sir. Ticket for one."
No, it's not even that. I don't know what it is. I think I care about what people think about me, and I don't want. Well, a friend of mine said this. He says, "I love going to cinema on my own." He says, but last time he went, 'cause he's quite a big lad, and he'll admit, several meals a day. And he says he walked in last time, he got there on his own. He goes, oh, it's brilliant. You go, you get all your goodies, you pick your film, you go in there. And he says he walked in and he looked around and there was just 6 large blokes on their own with nachos, popcorn and sweets with him. And he walked in and went, look at all these lonely fat bastards. And then sat down and went, oh, because he was on his own with the exact same sort of thing. And he was like, I've become one of them.
So you're worried that you're going to go into a cinema and it's more going to be, there potentially someone in there that might know you and be like,
I think so. And,
Sam,
and it's always going to be like an ex-girlfriend or something that just goes, oh,
with a new fella.
This is where you are with your life now.
Yeah, look at him on his own.
Yeah, so I don't know.
J13 on his Todd.
Yeah, but once I've been, it'd be fine. Yeah. And I'm genuinely, because there's a lot of films that I want to see that other people don't want to see, and I don't get because my shifts clash quite a lot with yours too. I've missed quite a lot of films as well because I've not managed to get with you two. So
yeah, I'll watch
to get over this anxiety.
I'll go to cinema on my own to watch a film.
Oh, I actually quite enjoy an experience of going to the film on my own sometimes.
With Limitless, if I've got a weekend off, it's great. I mean, I went to go watch Shape of Water on my own, and I really enjoyed it. I found it was fine.
Sorry, James. I have a week off next week. I'm working tomorrow, then a week off. So on the next podcast, I'll tell you about my first experience at the cinema on my own because I'm going to go do it.
I hope they turn it into a movie.
Hold on, no, we could, because you could go and we could try and not be seen, and we could film the whole thing. You going up to the counter, going into the screening. We'll sit behind you, but we'll try not to be viewed, and we'll document it for you.
Trying to smuggle in the KFC.
At one point, it will be pretty obvious though when he's in the cinema on his own, and there's you and me just filming him.
I once went to the cinema. God, this is terrible. I went to cinema. Oh no, I knew him actually. No, it's fine. We went to cinema. Went to cinema to watch X-Men, the first film, right? And went in. It's just me and my friend sat kind of three quarters of the way back. And there's only one other bloke in the cinema who was 2 years above us at school, and he was a bit of a kind of like, he wasn't a bully, but he was a bit of an hard nut at school. And he sat at the back, and I picked up a minstrel, and as I watched this, and I lobbed it thinking, there's no chance I'm going to hit him. No chance in hell. And you know when you throw it and you think, oh shit. You just let go of it, and I thought
immediately, know
it's going.
And then everything happened in slow motion. This minstrel hurled across the cinema. It hits this guy like square on the back of the head. This kind of like big, kind of Flash from Spider-Man bully looking bloke. And he turns around, and there's just me and me mate, and I just pointed at him.
You ducked down behind the seat.
Like, mate, screw that. Let's turn that into a movie.
Yeah.
Just this slow motion of you trying to get like, no. The first time I went to the cinema on my own, I skipped school and went to go watch X-Men 2, and I quite enjoyed it. So I used to skip school all the time and go see movies on my own.
Did you go to the cinema on your own recently, James?
Well, technically.
Well, yeah, you did, yeah.
Technically, I did.
So this happened just last night, wasn't it?
It was last night. So I messaged you two saying I was going to the cinema to see Hotel Artemis, and both of you were busy. So I was like, well, I got no problems with going to the cinema on my own. Last time I went to the cinema on my own was to see Blade Runner 2049. Really enjoyed it. I always have a good time, usually. Weirdly, I always seem to see good movies when I'm on my own as well. So I sat down, and I had the cinema to myself, which was eerie. Then a gentleman came in with a fedora, and he sat on the other side of the cinema, and I could smell him. So I was like, that's probably not going to be the best.
Smell your fedora.
Sam, when did you get a fedora?
He's come on upstairs, hasn't he? Anyway, and then a group of other friends came in. They were friends with each other, not myself. And they sat down, they were talking, they're rambunctious. And I'm just
What did they smell like?
Oh, they smell all right.
Come on, get to the main event. What happened?
And then I saw this shadow emerge.
Just like in that film we went to go see.
I recognised it like kind of straight away as well, but I couldn't see his face because the big O from Odeon had come in the background and the lights dim at that point.
4 buckets of popcorn.
4 buckets of popcorn. And I could see his smile. So I could see like hair and then just these teeth. And I was like, is that Aaron?
Boom. Aaron enters.
And then I text Aaron what seat I was in just in case he...
No, wait, I'll fill in now.
I'll tell the rest of this story.
So you would text me saying that you were in seat G6?
I've decided every time I go to the cinema in Screen 4, that's where I'm going to sit now.
Right, so without giving too much context, so you're in G6, I turned up to the cinema, no, tell a lie, I pulled up, thought, I've got time for a quick pint, went for a quick beer. And then,
on your own?
Yeah.
Good lad.
Yeah, shipyard. So I had a quick pint, and then I thought, because if James is there, I want him to be sat down before I come in, so I thought I'll just stall for a few minutes, go for a pint, had a quick drink, went in, I go into the guy says, what film? I says, I want to see Hotel Artemis. He says, where do you want to sit? I said, right. I says, can you show me the screen? Is there someone sat in G6? I says, because my mate's here and he's a bit of a rum one and he might not be here. This might be a stitch up.
We want to see if he was lying, basically.
I was like, this might be a stitch up. 2 things were going to happen. If you weren't in that seat, I was going to get it. And then I was going to, today in this podcast, go, James, how was that film last night?
And if you said it was good, we was going to
I was going to call you out and be like, what you want there? But what actually happened was he says, yeah, there's someone in G6. And he goes, but the seat next to him's free. Now, here's where this horrible thing went through my mind. If it wasn't you and it was some random person on his own or her on her own, and I then waltz in and sit next to him, bearing in mind that this cinema was one of those where you have like a row of 10, then these stairs, and then 2 seats.
And two seats, so you are going to be forced into...
Yeah, so the seat 3 was between this person and the wall. So if I'm there, oh, sorry, that's my seat, in an empty cinema, it's going to look right creepy. So I thought, next best thing, I'll have the seat behind him. So I got like the direct row behind James. I walked straight in, and there he was, smiling away.
It was nice to see you.
Yeah,
because it was a surprise. I didn't think you were going to come.
Then what happened was, I think we started a trend because the 2 people that came in, not the Federer guy, but Federer, the fedora wearing bloke, Roger Federer, not him.
Roger Federer, that was there, wearing a fedora.
But there's a couple there, and they got up and sat behind me, and I thought, well, we're starting a trend here. Yeah. So and then we watched the film. Now, Hotel Artemis.
I would like to point out at that one point, the 4 friends I was talking about thought that we were talking bullshit because we just started going, what's that? I'm just screaming as loudly as we could when we saw each other. And we
turned 16.
We turned 16. It was just like
throwing minstrels at the back of bullies.
So they thought that we had like some sort of screw loose, like we'd never seen each other before, despite the fact we're very close friends. Like, what are you doing here? I texted you saying I was going to be here.
Yeah, you knew I was coming. You said yours. So can you tell me what this film's about, as I wasn't there, please?
Hotel Artemis I'm going to start straight away by saying I really enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Hotel Artemis is set in the future. I think it's not too far in the future, but it's
2048, I think.
I thought it was 228.
I'll accept that.
It's not too far ahead in the future.
Only 10 years.
Something like that. And it's this dystopian future where riots and chaos kind of rules
like
LA.
Big corporation like owns water, so you have to pay to drink and that sort of thing.
Right. It's this kind of future like that. And in the center of this in LA is this Hotel Artemis, which is it's a hospital for the criminal elite. It's an exclusive kind of members only hospital where there are a very strict set of rules if you go in. So the rules are things like no fighting.
You're not allowed guns on you.
You're not allowed guns. You're not allowed to assault or raise your voice to the staff. And you're definitely not allowed to kill the other patients.
What happens if you do?
Dave Bautista works there, mate.
Oh, well, we know what happens.
There's something scary that works there, mate. That's Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, yeah. So just setting up the premise before we go into who's in it. It's about this hotel in the center of LA that supports it, which is a hospital for the shady underground criminals. And it all takes place, the whole film takes place over one night, where various people check into the hospital due to various reasons, gunshot wounds, whatever. And then what ensues is that these rules start to slowly be broken because of who is in that hotel.
Dear.
Hotel hospital. So Jodie Foster is the main nurse. She is so on form in this film.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I'll let you talk a bit more because there's something I want to say about her acting style, which was...
So she leads and she's the main nurse. She's referred to in the majority of the film as just the nurse.
There's only one character that actually knows her name.
Yeah. So. And then she's supported by Dave Bautista.
Beautiful.
As her kind of lead second in command nurse, healthcare professional.
I was going to say he's a healthcare professional.
He's got so many good lines in it. It's unbelievable.
He's proven himself big time.
He's got that kind of Drax comedy to him still.
Oh, cool.
He's got a little bit of that.
But more kind of like, I was going to say more grounded in reality, but the film we're all talking about, he plays a space alien. So yeah.
You've got Charlie Day in it.
Oh, I love Charlie Day.
Yeah, Charlie Day is in it. You've got Jeff
Does he play a badass?
Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum.
As the kind of top criminal of LA, owns half the city. So when he comes, it's like, he's the one who really kind of stirs up the party, if you like, when he turns up.
Yeah.
And he's also supported by his entourage of hitman bodyguards, which is led by his son, Zachary Quinto.
And I would like to point out, I think he was one of the best things in the film.
Zachary Quinto.
I loved him. I love Zachary Quinto.
I like it when you see an actor do something like this, where he's kind of sweary, a bit horrible, so far from what you imagine Zachary Quinto is probably actually like in real life.
Yeah, completely agree.
It's that which was really, really interesting. And then you've got Sterling K. Brown, who's the kind of main lead in it.
Who's that? Sorry.
So I haven't really seen him in a lot of other films.
I haven't. He's one of these actors that we always talk about that you always recognize him from something, but you can't put your finger on it.
He's a very cool guy. Like when he talks, his delivery. He's a gangster in a criminal who robs a bank at the beginning, and he's the premise of the film is his mate gets shot, and that's why they have to go to the hospital.
It's his brother, isn't it?
His brother, yeah.
His brother.
So during a bank robbery,
so they're quite low level fees, aren't they?
They used to be big, and now they were trying to do one last score kind of thing to set themselves up.
I think the implication is that it's one of these stories that the older brother is looking after the younger brother. So it comes from a place of love that he's doing this kind of help the younger brother out, because he does make reference that he's left this life behind and that sort of thing.
It starts with a bank robbery that goes a bit wrong, obviously, because one of them gets shot. And unfortunately, one of the things they do steal belongs to Jeff Goldblum's character. And that's the setup of the film. Oh, dear. So then what over the course of 90 minutes is it's bubbling tension. You know it's going to erupt. It's got those elements of, we was talking outside and we put on social media, it's got those elements of kind of shoot 'em up. No, not shoot 'em up. Smoking Aces.
Yeah.
The one in the hotel with Ryan Reynolds.
I watched that recently. Brilliant film.
It's got elements of that. Lucky Number 11, because you've got a lot of interweaving storylines going on. You've got one character who's a bit cryptic about who they're there to get. And it's kind of obvious, but there's a little bit of mystery to it. And then it's got also elements of, what was the other film I thought it was like?
John Wick,
yeah.
Right,
So it's got some fight scenes, close proximity corridor fight scenes that's very John Wick.
I love that sort of thing as well.
That's the kind of thing that you're looking at in the film. 90 minutes, brilliant. I know you're dying to jump in about Jodie Foster's acting.
Yeah.
Well, also, when you mention John Wick, in the John Wick films, there's a hotel, isn't there, that follows a certain set of rules. It seems like...
The Continental.
The Continental.
Yeah.
And that's been made into a TV series.
Well, I was just thinking the Continental is basically what Hotel Artemis is. They've kind of run with that theory. Obviously, it's not a hotel, but it's a hospital. And it's outside the box, and I'm a big fan of being different.
It's a very good idea, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. But Jodie Foster, right, so if I were to describe this film to you as it's all of like the criminal's best in a room, you're expecting some sort of action film where it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's actually a tense thriller is how I describe it, because the tension builds and builds and builds. And there's only really two action bits in it. It's right at the beginning with the bank robbery, and it's not really that action, is it? It's a very quick shootout. And then at the end, it's the way it's edited, it's very close cut. It's actually really quick. It's actually story driven by Jodie Foster, who is sensational in this film.
Yeah.
I think what really works for this film, really goes in its favor, is that what it's done is it's set up a premise that isn't 100% original, but is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
And it's got some characters in it played by some very interesting actors. And the direction of the film is let these characters intertwine. Let them have conversations. You get kind of various frictions between different members. There's a backstory between two of them that you don't really fully understand what it is. And it kind of, for the majority of the film, it lets you explore those scenes.
I think they get the best out of Charlie Day, but I think they don't give him much direction. They just go, right, this is your character. Just do what you think that character would do. And I quite like Charlie Day in it.
If you hire Charlie Day for a scene, you know what you're getting there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very strange, though. I mean, could you imagine if someone said to you last year, you're going to have Jodie Foster, Charlie Day, Dave Bautista, Zachary Quinto, and Jeff Goldblum in a film? You go, no, we're not.
No.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's my
my
next point, is that the film's directed by a guy called Drew Pearce.
Okay.
And this is actually his first directing
I
credit.
was to say he wrote and directed it, didn't he? 'Cause I remember saying that at the end. I like those films that are written and directed because it's from a place of love. And
Yeah,
you know where it's
so
coming
he's more known for his screenwriting. So he's kind of the person responsible for the last Mission Impossible, not the one that's just come out, the one before, the Rogue Nation one.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people say is the best one really since the first one, and kind of really brought it back into its franchise.
Is that the one with like the sandstorm type thing? Where was that the one before that?
That's the fourth one.
I do apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The Mission Impossible ones we'll do an episode on because they you can get them mixed up quite quickly. So he's more of a kind of screenwriting credit than he is a director. I think he's British as well, and I think he's responsible for some things that have been on British television. And this is his first kind of major directorial debut, really. And to get that cast together in a film, I think is phenomenal. It's really
absolutely.
good.
I generally can't. Well, it's finished at the cinema now, hasn't it?
Yeah. Last night was the last night.
So I'm gonna have to wait.
One of the things I was going to say as well is it's that definition of what is an ensemble cast. So Avengers, the last film, was an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
So many big names, big top actors in the film. No one really takes the lead. It's shared amongst the cast. So Ocean's 8, Ocean's 11, or Ocean's 55, or whatever those films are, and Magnificent Seven. They're ensemble casts. This is an ensemble cast, but it is Jodie Foster's film.
Jodie Foster steals it. And one of the weirdest things I really like about it, is I hope you agree, we didn't talk about it that much after the film, is she's got that little kind of shuffle run.
Oh, I was just about to say that as well.
That nurses do.
Yeah.
And she's fantastic. And I love the little shuffle that she does. I don't know why, just a little shuffle run. I adored. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it's that run that football players do when they get sent. When
it's substitution, and they don't want
in the final few minutes. It's a run that's slower than a walk.
But the arms are going, so you know that.
Yeah, and it kind of embodies or kind of represents her innocence in this world. You know that she's helping criminals and stuff, but it's a job at the end of the day. And I think it really shows a kind of an innocence or vulnerability to her character. This little shuffle run she does, it's really, really good, really good.
But that's what kind of Jodie Foster is brilliant for that sort of thing, though, isn't she? She's a very good actress, probably arguably one of the best. We'll get into that another time.
Yeah, well, Oscar winner for Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, but other members of the cast I've got to put my hand out, raise my hand and just applaud. Dave Bautista is fast becoming one of my favourites. He seems to steal every film he's in.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, arguably one of the best.
Yeah.
For a pretty good bad guy in the Bond film. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, sorry.
He was in the latest one.
He was in the late. No, it's not Quantum Solace, it's the other one. I can't remember. I do apologise.
I'll get it in a minute.
Skyfall.
Yeah. No, it's the one after that. It's the... keep going, I'll get it.
Yeah, no, we all know it. But he seems to just bring this... Bearing in mind, this man is famous primarily for being a wrestler.
Yeah.
And obviously that's where we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We kind of podcast without mentioning him at some
we had
point.
Hulk Hogan before that, and he did some classic films.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. No.
But no, I think Dave Bautista is fast becoming my favourite. He just is a very good actor. And so I did mention earlier, Blade Runner, the sequel, he's in it at the beginning, and you're thinking this big stocky bloke, he's there for the action films. He just plays this like retired, finished with like trying to live a lie, and he just doesn't care. And his interactions with the main character, just fantastic. But they're very short. It's very limited time. But at the end, he stole the scenes from a
He's
very
got them
good
little
actor.
glasses in that as well.
He does. But I love him. And going back to Zachary Quinto, it was different, and I really enjoyed him because he just seemed to like revel in the role of like this toad, this underling who was like the third son, wasn't he? And Jeff Goldblum, who has pretty much a cameo role, again, brilliant.
Jeff Goldblum's at that point in his career now where he will just appear in a film for 10 or 15 minutes and people will be like, I love Jeff Goldblum.
I really like Jeff Goldblum.
Again. He has real fun with his scenes.
And he's really not in it for that long, but you remember the time he was in it. The only downside is he's called the Wolf King, and I really didn't like that.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's that. I mean, if I see Jeff Goldblum at any point, I'm going to call him the Wolf King.
Fair enough.
And he'll say, "Have you seen Hotel Artemis?" I'll be like, "No." just to me, that's who you are.
Just assumed you were the Wolf King. But
yeah.
Sam, do you think you'd watch it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
100%. It hasn't got the best reviews. So this is the opposite way around to Hereditary, where you two didn't really necessarily like it, but it was raved. I really liked this film, and reading about it today, it didn't get the best reviews.
It's quite average, isn't it?
Middle of the road. No one's saying it's bad, but no one's saying it's standout-ish.
Yeah.
I think it will find its audience. I think it will. I think it will come out maybe on Netflix or Now TV or to buy. And I think it will find its audience.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Well, couldn't recommend it enough. Again, I think it helped that I went to the cinema with no expectations. I didn't really know what it was about. And then as the film was going on, I was like, I was going to build up to an action film any minute. And then when it went character driven, I was like, wow, that's a shock. I'm really enjoying this film.
So I've got a question that's leading. We're getting closer to the main event, which is talking about Tom Hanks, and I cannot wait. But I was reading today. Well, actually, this week I've been reading around. Well, I'm going to put a question: how many films do you think there are across all languages? And it's an impossible number to add up.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Trillion?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's impossible probably to figure out how many films in different languages across.
Got to be
the
43, hasn't it?
But how many?
It's got to be 43.
How many stories is there
There's 10, isn't there?
in film? How many stories?
10 stories.
7.
Oh, I knew it was ridiculously low.
Yeah.
I was going to really hate you when you asked me what they were because I won't know them.
Well, I've got them written
Brilliant.
down. I haven't committed them all to mind
Oh,
or
okay.
to memory. Sorry, but I can see Sam's already bewildered. 7 stories?
Is one of them Jack and the Beanstalk?
No, so that would be a film.
That's one of the stories, yeah.
A story is more of the premise, what it means. So, for example, the first one is Overcoming the Monster, is a type of story. So, out of all the millions of films that are out there
Jack
in the
and the
world,
Beanstalk.
no, because if you'll notice that
He's not
number
even
3,
joking.
you'll notice number 3, Sam, is The Quest, and Jack and the Beanstalk is clearly a quest.
burn.
So stop jumping the gun, Sam.
I'm sorry, I need to go. Bye.
Overcoming the Monster. So that's more your kind of Dracula, James Bond, and your Star Warsy kind of films. Overcoming the Monster. The second one's Rags to Riches.
Yeah.
So your Cinderella.
Brewster's Millions.
Yeah, those kind of films. Jane Eyre is your second story. Third one, Sam's The Quest. Might be more your Jack and the Beanstalk. Because Jack and the Beanstalk wasn't necessarily about taking out the giant. It was more...
I don't know. I've never read it, mate.
Oh.
It's just the way you kept on going. I assumed you were a connoisseur of the Jack and the Beanstalk.
Number 4 is Voyage and Return. Alice in Wonderland, The Hobbit, those kind of films. That kind of story. Comedy.
These are
Kind
just
of a broad.
one. Right, okay.
Yeah, kind of broad. Similar to Tragedy.
No.
It's like Macbeth, Julius Caesar, that kind of stuff. And then Rebirth is the final story. So that's kind of your Christmas Carol, Beauty and the Beast, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So 7 stories. So we have all the movies that are out there. I just thought that maybe in these podcasts we could put just a little bit of information for people.
So what's Hotel Artemis then?
Well, this is my point. I think over the next week I'm going to put these on Facebook and Instagram and stuff and see if there is someone out there that can find a real questionable, well, which one is it? You know, is there a film that is truly kind of breaks, you know, this idea that there are only 7 stories that you can tell?
I'm genuinely trying to think about it now.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
No, they all follow the same kind of, boil down to that, don't they?
boil down to those 7. I mean, if for anyone who does want to read it around it, it's Christopher Booker's, it comes from a book or a kind of a research called The 7 Basic Plots. But the guy spent 34 years kind of researching it and coming up with this thesis that there are only ever 7 stories.
It just sounds like he lived in his room and watched movies all day. And then some of his parents asked him, what are you doing with your life? And he was research. And this is what he came up with.
Writing a book. Stop coming in my room.
Write a book.
Doesn't sound that bad, does it?
Oh, no, it's the dream job.
Right, let's talk Tom Hanks.
Who?
Tom Hanks.
Thomas Hankus.
Thomas Jeffrey Hanks.
I didn't know that was his middle name. Right.
Born in California.
I'm going to hit it out there with one of my favourite Tom Hanks films, Apollo 13.
He's gone for it.
I loved it.
What's that? A couple of days ago.
Do you know what? I rewatched it as well. My biggest problem is it's been a while since I've seen Apollo 13. And I remember watching it thinking Gary Sinise must be the bad guy because for so long in Ransom and Snake Eyes, he was the bad guy. And I was just thinking, Gary Sinise.
Sinise.
Right.
So I remember thinking, did Gary Sinise plant the bomb on Apollo 13? I forget.
So we are setting up for Apollo 13 completely incorrect. It's
I know.
not about any bombs or anything like that.
I know.
But out of all the Tom Hanks films, why did you go for Apollo 13? That's your first choice?
I don't know. Right. I do remember it.
It's a good film.
I remember secondary school. I could be remembering this completely wrong, but we all loved Braveheart. And it came out at the same time as Apollo 13. And I remember thinking every kid wanted Braveheart to win the Oscar because apparently when we were kids, we wanted to do it because it had everything that Sam likes in the movie. It had blood and gore and boobs. So
I like that film.
yeah, everyone likes Braveheart. And I remember this film came out, Apollo 13, and it won the Oscars. And everyone hated the film because it beat Braveheart. And I watched it. And it's based on a true story. And I loved every aspect of it. I fell in kind of love with the storyline, and the acting's brilliant in it, and Tom Hanks leads the way. And the supporting characters of Gary Sinise, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton, and the scene stealer for me is Ed Harris. I never really thought Ed Harris was like this amazing actor, and then I saw him in Apollo 13. I don't know what it is about that film. You know, when you're cooking and everything just seems to happen at the same time, it's perfect. Like everything cooks and at the time, you're not waiting for anything, nothing's spoiled, it's perfection. That to me is Apollo 13. Everyone was on their game.
James.
Yeah.
What meal is Apollo 13?
It's a Sunday dinner.
That's a lot of pots. Continue.
It is a lot of pots, but it's a film I don't mind doing the washing up afterwards because I've enjoyed the meal that much. That's a review. If there were a lot of pots, I wouldn't mind washing them. Okay, then. Before we get into too many specific Tom Hanks things, this is something I want to say. I'm not the biggest Tom Hanks fan. Now, sorry, Sam, did you want to butt in?
No, I was going to say, continue.
Okay. I don't dislike Tom Hanks. I could never think of a film where he kind of blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
He himself. Tom Hanks, to me, is potatoes. Right?
Are we still on Sunday dinners?
We've gone back there because I think Tom Hanks is potatoes. So if the potatoes are bad in a meal, you notice them and you think, wow, they're really bad. However, if the potatoes are good in a meal, you don't notice them. Like, you'd like the potatoes, but it's never like the starring side of any dish. Do you understand what I mean, Sam?
Forrest Gump?
No, because I don't like Forrest Gump. I detest Forrest. I really do not like Forrest Gump.
Oh dear.
No, but what I mean is he's potatoes. As in, when potatoes are done well, you just like them. You don't rave about potatoes. So Tom Hanks to me was always potatoes.
How many more times can we get James to say potatoes by the end of today?
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
But I would like to point out, after watching this week and looking for Tom Hanks' performances, he's very good. He'll still never be my favourite because I just think he's too good. Everyone raises their game around him. So a film I watched called Charlie Wilson's War. Aaron, have you seen that?
No, it's one of his that I haven't seen.
All right. Well, in it, he plays opposite Julia Roberts and Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late and great Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I don't really like Julia Roberts, and I can't remember that much that I really liked Philip Seymour Hoffman in. But Philip Seymour Hoffman gives a fantastic performance in it, and that's when the first film I really took notice of Philip Seymour Hoffman. He steals the show. It seems to be when you put someone in a film with Tom Hanks, everyone else raises their game.
I'd agree to that, but I also would stand that Tom Hanks is a phenomenal actor, and I think he outshines in everything he does. I'm the complete opposite. I think everything Tom Hanks does, he's absolute perfection.
The Da Vinci Code I wasn't a fan of.
I'm going to come to those in a few minutes because they are the exception to the rule, but I've got a theory behind that.
Okay. Well, like I say, he's potatoes, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being potatoes. Everyone is potatoes.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Two more times for potatoes.
Okay.
But no, that's how I feel. And I would admit, this week, I have enjoyed rewatching those films.
Yeah.
And I obviously saw some other ones, but Apollo 13 for me, great storytelling, great music. I liked everything about it. I liked the direction as well.
I watched Castaway.
I do like Castaway as well.
Yeah. I that was the first one I went to when I was looking at Tom Hanks films that I wanted to watch this week. I knew Castaway was on Now TV. This is the perfect opportunity for me to go back and revisit it. I loved it. I loved the whole film. I loved it when it first came out anyway. But very basic premise. Tom Hanks is a kind of live by the minute, time is everything director of kind of FedEx. He's not the top guy, but he manages obviously a kind of key part of the FedEx company. And one Christmas, he gets an emergency call out on his plane, and the plane crashes, and he gets stranded on an island, and that's where our story is. He's cast away on this island. He's actually there for 4 years, which is the kind of the time span that he's on the island is over the course of 4 years before he attempts his kind of, he realizes no one's coming for him, essentially, is the way that the film goes. And then he attempts his escape from the island by a man-made raft. It's your basic Robinson Crusoe storyline, but with Tom Hanks at the helm of the story. And I just thought it was fantastic. It's directed by, who's it directed by? Robert.
Is it Eccles? That one. I can't remember. I can't remember.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he did Forrest Gump with him and did Back to the Future. It's a great film, and what it does really well is this idea, because to capture 4 years on an island it's quite difficult in a 90-minute feature when you've got the front end of the story and the back end. So you're looking at the middle section of the film is him being on this island, and to slow down time in that, what he does really well, what the direction does really well, is that the beginning of the film, Tom Hanks he talks very rapidly. He's constantly, this minute we're too slow. Business is about time. We've got 7 minutes, and he's constantly, even when he proposes to his wife at the beginning of the film, he's like, I've got 2 minutes. Everything is time based. And then when he gets to the island, obviously time doesn't matter anymore, and that's how the direction of the film starts to slow down in that part. And then the camera starts to slow down. There's a scene where he goes up to the top of the cliff when he first goes on the island, and he sits at the top to look. He goes to the top of this cliff to look and see if there's anything on the island that any people or anything like that. And the camera does this 360 spin, and it goes at such a very slow kind of controlled pace, and it's like it's slowing it down, and it's kind of pulling you into this idea of isolation on this island. And so watching it now, because I think it came out in 2000, 2002. I'm going to say 2000.
Okay.
And I remember watching it when it came out, but going rewatching it now that I, looking more at that kind of part of the film, I really enjoyed it. It's obviously got the greatest supporting actor of all time in it.
Wilson.
I'm sorry, what's his name?
Wilson. I've got to say, Castaway was, I unfortunately didn't get to watch it, but as soon as we said Tom Hanks, that was one of the ones that I thought, I've not seen it since it come out. I've got to go back and watch it, but just didn't get the chance. So I think now we've had our Tom Hanks, and I didn't get a lot of feel of it. There's so many that I didn't get to see that I'm going to watch. That, Private Ryan and Sully and Captain Phillips are the ones I didn't get a chance to see. So
what I liked about Castaway is the bit with toothache, because I think that's everything every person can relate to. Everyone at some point in their life has toothache. Yeah. What would you do on a deserted island and you've got toothache? That's exactly what I would do, and I can relate to that, man.
He does. Tom Hanks really does shine in this, because obviously a lot of it isn't him talking; it's his reactions to certain things.
If Tom Hanks isn't a good actor, you can't watch that film. So again, props to him that because he is so watchable and is very good at his job, you can watch a film of basically a man talking to a ball.
Yeah, it's not even those scenes. It's his desperation when he's trying to crack into his first coconut. It's the scenes where he's discovering that fishing's not as easy as it looks on the television, that kind of thing, and he's got to find water and stuff.
I like it when it goes forward in time and he's talking to Wilson, and he's having that back and forth, like, I don't want to go back up there. Yeah, I liked that kind of I think he did a really good I think he did a really good job of acting how you'd be 4 years alone on an island somewhere with no human contact.
With a ball.
Yeah. So he adds this element of kind of gone a bit crazy from the isolation, and that scene's the scene that really got me. Is that he goes, I'm not going back up there, because it's the scene where he finds out he needs to go get more rope, and he's used all the plant on the island that is giving him this kind of rope substance, and Wilson's basically obviously not really telling him, but there's some up there, and as a younger person, I didn't realize what that was. And he goes up to the top of the cliff.
There's a mannequin there, isn't it?
Well, there's a wooden log.
Oh, is it?
There's a wooden log
because he's testing.
He's tested a noose to hang himself, so he's pulling. That's why I didn't want to go back up there, because the last time we went up there was to trial whether or not the branch would hold his weight. And so then you get this backstory, because the time shifts 4 years in advance. That at some point he's debated,
he's thought about it,
and that solidifies his passion to get off the island because of the person who he's left behind, his fiance, really, at the beginning of the film. And the fact that she's the one that's kind of kept him going. And it's a really, really kind of touchy scene. And I didn't understand, the first time I watched it, I think I was too young to realize that's what he was pulling up off, and that was the reference. And then when spoilers, the film came out 18 years ago.
I love the fact that we keep doing that. Yeah. When it's a recent film, we don't, we just spoil it.
But at the end, when he does get off the island and he goes back, Tom Hanks gives this absolutely phenomenal speech at the end, where again the camera takes its time, kind of doing a 180 around Tom Hanks as he's delivering this last speech about how he's been on this island where it was all about survival and working with what you've had, and here he is back at home, and you get ice from the fridge, this they put a buffet out for him when he turns up. And it's got so much food on it, and everyone leaves, and there's all this food just wasted, and he's just looking at it, and it's this realization of, I don't know, I think there's a really interesting character study in what Tom Hanks portrays in that film, and so I would go back and say, do anyone watch Castaway again?
Yeah, so there's quite a nice meaning to the end of that, then, isn't it? Of what's wasted, and let's be honest, if it was put in that situation ourselves, we wouldn't have all this to waste.
Well, I've seen all the Bear Grylls episodes, so I'm fine.
I've heard that name before, so I think I might be fine.
Yeah. I no idea what you're talking about, but I just assume I'll be fine because I'm a man.
Oh yeah, let's leave that there.
Yeah.
What other films? Sam, what have you been watching?
I worked a lot this week. As I told you, I'm sort of 13-hour shifts every day. So getting home and wanting to watch a Tom Hanks film isn't easy because there's not many that's under 2 hours long. The shortest one is Toy Story, which is an hour and 14, which I didn't watch because I've seen that plenty of times, and I think I've got enough to talk about that. So the two I watched both had Bill Paxton in it, which was fantastic because I do love Bill Paxton. I watched Apollo 13.
Oh yeah,
always a good film.
And I watched The Circle.
I haven't seen The Circle. I know it's on the Netflix.
Yeah,
it's on my list.
Last year, was it? Was it last year?
Yeah, it's 2017 film. Yeah.
Has it got Emma Watson?
It's got Emma Watson in it. It's got Finn from, I don't know his name, Finn from Star Wars.
No, I know who you mean.
It's got Carla Espinosa from Scrubs.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You should probably learn these actors.
Yeah, I don't know.
At some point,
She's Carla Espinosa. It's the only other thing I've seen her in. I enjoyed it. It was, again, my housemate who said to me, it takes a really dark twist. It didn't take a really dark twist. Obviously, it expands. Do you know the premise of it?
She takes up a job in a kind of a futuristic, forward-thinking kind of Google-like company.
Yeah, so it's like a Google-like company, but where the job is, because they practically own everything, like the whole complex looks like a massive version of the Pentagon. And in it...
But is it a circle?
Is it? No, it's... Well, yeah, it is
a film called The Circle?
Yeah, it is. But it's not a very good circle.
Is it a circle with edges?
It's like a circle with edges.
So the film should be called The Pentagon.
So yeah, while she's there, she starts this job. It's basically just customer service. So they'll message her with her issues. She'll talk to them, and it's all about getting like a decent ranking. So you want an average of 100, saying that you have great customer service. As it goes along, and she's been shown around this facility. There's loads and loads of buildings. There's a place to do yoga. There's loads of bars. There's loads of nightclubs. There's a golf course over here. There's an American football pitch over here. Anything you could ever want is in this complex.
Yes, it sounds of like the Google type thing.
Yeah, and she goes home for her first weekend off, and she gets asked why she went home and why she didn't come, and you start realising, hold on, they're watching her, and they go,
oh, is it like a cult type thing?
Well, it's one of the girls at work. It says, oh, well, you haven't set up like your Facebook type social thing, it's all optional, but we want you to.
So it's kind of insidious. This type of there's something going on.
We want you to hang about with people here and stuff. And she goes, you left on Friday at 11:52 and you didn't return till Monday. It's like, well, how do you know? And it's not by any means. When you hear this, you think, oh, where we're going with this? It's by no means like a horror or anything like that. But it's just how big this company is, and it gets to a point where they're trying to get involved in politics, so nobody can vote without being part of their system. So to be able to vote, you have to be part of the circle system. And obviously, as soon Tom Hanks plays the...
literally my question was, so who's Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks plays the main guy.
The owner.
The CEO.
Yeah, he's not the CEO. I can't remember.
Creative.
Is he like the Steve Jobs type?
Yeah,
the inventor,
and there's a lot of Steve
thing.
Jobs with it. So when he goes and he stands on stage and he talks about the new stuff that they're bringing out, he is very much like Steve Jobs with the Apple stuff. He stands there and he talks to them and they're all laughing and it's all broadcast and stuff. He's brilliant in it. He plays Tom Hanks. But he's just up there. It's all very jokey, and when he talks, it's just him, corralling his staff force into having fun and enjoying the job and this. And it's a brilliant film. And it just, I'll not say the ending or anything, but it just sort of turns that you have a company that big that they just try to own the world.
Yeah, basically what people accuse Google of.
Absolutely. But yeah, and it's basically the story of like.
So it's a drama.
Yeah. So the story is basically how, although they're trying to take over the world, the technology is that good that we're not trying to bring it down. We're not trying to bring it down because what you have here is amazing and it can save billions of lives.
The greater good type argument.
Yes, but we've got the wrong people
right
doing it. We're going down the wrong direction, so we need to take it in the right direction. I enjoyed it. It's I just spent a lot of the film thinking, so where are you going? So where are you going? Come on. But once again, I think I need to stop talking to my housemate about films because he keeps telling me something that I think is going to go one way and it doesn't. So I was expecting it to take a turn that I didn't. But honestly, I'd say watch it. And it's not a very long film either. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, brilliant.
It's on my list of films to watch.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I know it.
I wanted to read the book before.
I didn't even realize it was based on a book.
Yeah, I think it's based on a novel that I saw it probably last year on Netflix. So I thought, no, I'll read it first and then, then I'll watch the film.
Yeah.
So I've got one that we'll all like, and a very, very quick conversation. Saving Private Ryan, loved it.
Yeah.
Weirdly, there's nothing in particular I love about it. Just love it. I just think it's a good film. And sometimes you have a film that you just enjoy watching.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg's kind of war epic from 90, I think it came out in 98.
Well, it kind of started another trend of World War II films, didn't it? So,
I think it came out in 98, 99 time. I think it was like one of those that came out in 98, but it was the 99 Oscars where it's kind of recognised. Spielberg directed, World War II. Tom Hanks leads a platoon of soldiers to go rescue Ryan, who's a family of 4 brothers. 3 have been
killed on the same day.
Killed in action.
Yeah.
So it's a rescue mission to find Ryan, who's played by Matt Damon, to pull him out. And it's a good 2.5 hour. It's a brilliant film.
It's just a good film. It's harrowing, especially the scene where, again, spoilers, where that person gets stabbed very slowly. I still can't watch that. It makes me cringe.
I can't watch that scene. I always turn it off at that bit.
There's a lot of scenes in that film that someone, no matter who you are, you will always go, that scene freaks me out.
But that was the first war film that I remember seeing. I remember seeing violent war films growing up.
I've never seen anything on the level of the opening scene at Omaha Beach is just
that's
brutal.
What I was going to say.
Brutal. Well, that's what changed.
Well, I was going to say, it's brutal. It's probably
Omaha
nothing
Beach.
compared to... Yeah, it's Omaha Beach, isn't it?
Is it? Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh.
But yeah, the
maybe it's not. Sorry.
You're the history dude.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it's exactly that. It's that... It's the first war film. I'd seen things like Hamburger Hill and Full Metal Jacket, and I'd seen kind of war films previous to this, but this is the first one with that opening scene. The second that barrier goes down on the ship as they're trying to storm the beach, and you're like, what? And it's just so intense and loud and horrible, and then Tom Hanks kind of like just again he's a kind of he's a fish out of water in that film. He's not the person. If they did that film now, Tom Cruise would be at the helm.
Yeah.
And it's nice that kind of Spielberg and Hanks have got that relationship where, they trust each other to be able to do what they've done. And it's a fantastic, it's up there for me with Schindler's List in terms of kind of important films to watch.
Absolutely.
World War.
I like any film that has Nathan Fillion in it.
Nathan Fillion plays the wrong Ryan, doesn't he?
Yes, he's in it very short, but he's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah,
when they save the wrong Ryan.
Yeah.
I just like Nathan Fillion, love him.
Yeah. It's a brilliant film. And it's a real realistic kind of gut punch of a film. Fantastic. It was actually leading me to some of the points. Maybe we didn't set up Tom Hanks enough, really, as we were going into this. Obviously, done a bit of research on Tom Hanks. Thomas Jeffrey Hanks is his full name. Do you know Tom Hanks has an asteroid named after him?
It does strike me as the sort of thing that would happen.
Do you know Tom Hanks is an Aston Villa fan?
Weirdly, I do know that. He's been to a game, hasn't he, when they were in the Premier League?
Well, if he was a fan, I think so.
Yeah, wasn't they were nearly relegated, and they had to get, I think, a Soccer AM or Match of the Day called Tom Hanks in one of the episodes, and he gave a kind of speech to say, no, don't worry, it'll be all right. This isn't our season, but we're going to come back.
No, it sounds like the Soccer AM thing. I can't really see Gary Lineker talking with Tom Hanks.
Well, I don't follow football, so I wouldn't know either from more. 2 Oscar wins, obvious ones.
Philadelphia.
Yep.
I like Sam do the other one.
Same Private Ryan, I'm guessing.
No, he's nominated for that, but he lost to it. I was trying to
Castaway?
No, it's Forrest Gump.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one. It's one I don't.
Yeah, 93, 94. He's the only actor. He's the second actor to win consecutive years.
Yeah.
So I think he's been nominated for 5 Oscars, won 2 of them. He was nominated for Saving Private Ryan in 99, but he didn't win it. I was trying to figure out. I was trying to rack my brains. Was that the year that wasn't the year that The Artist came out, was it? The black and white?
No, I think The Artist was this side of the millennium.
Yeah. I can't think.
Sorry.
Who would have beat Tom Hanks that year?
No idea, but I really do not like Forrest Gump. And the problem is, I want to like it, I just can't.
He was nominated for Castaway, and he was nominated for Big as well.
Okay.
With the other films
Big.
that he's nominated for.
I love Big.
It's very weird, because talking about all this, I was talking to a friend earlier today saying I was recording tonight, and I mentioned Tom Hanks, and he said, Philadelphia. And I went, how did I forget about that film? I saw it, that was a film my mum made me watch.
You see, so this is like...
I completely forgot about it. It's just left my brain.
Going back to what I was talking about earlier, do you know who's brilliant in Philadelphia? is Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington's phenomenal in that film.
Didn't he win the Oscar that year as well?
Did he? I don't.
Did he win Best Supporting Actor that year?
Oh, I don't know.
That's not a fact.
I don't know. I thought he'd only got the one.
He got for Training Day, didn't he?
For Training Day, yeah.
So you're right. Yeah, you got it for Training Day.
Maybe it was Training Day that beat him for. No, that was 2001. Anyway, we'll have to do better research next time.
Yeah.
No, I tried to find it, and for some reason, I was trying to find it.
Maybe it's you've just like hidden it away.
Yeah.
Anyway, I interrupted. Is there any more facts you got for us, Aaron?
On Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a lovely guy, isn't he?
Well, he is a lovely guy. And I think, just going back to what you said a minute ago about, it's called out Hanks and Spielberg have that relationship where they can trust one another. I think you'd struggle to find someone to fill Tom Hanks' boots in Saving Private Ryan, because you need you need the war dude who is a lovable, he is all heart and a little bit of fight.
The only thing that goes against him in Saving Private Ryan is all the men make up backstories for him, like, oh, he's a trained killer and that type of thing. And in the end, he turns out to be just a teacher, doesn't he, from Rhode Island or something. And you think
that's the scene though that I think really makes that film great. It's a good film, but then what makes it great is the scene where he sits down with Matt Damon, and Matt Damon kind of tells him this backstory about home, and then he says, "What's home to you?" And Tom Hanks gives this, like you say, he's been built up as a so-and-so, and he's like, "Home to me is my gardening gloves. Home to me is, is my wife and a coffee." And that scene is very deliberately just before the final battle scene.
Yeah.
And again, it's Spielberg, a master of his craft. Really kind of showing how to direct a film. It's so good. I didn't want to watch it this week because it's. I don't know. I felt that I would just come to this podcast talking about Saving Private Ryan.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's that good you could do a whole episode on the film.
So earlier when we were discussing what we were going to do, I couldn't remember the name of the film I'd seen. Now I'm fairly certain we've all seen it, and to me, it is the best Tom Hanks performance. And the reason I didn't start with it was because I couldn't remember the name, and it's just come to me. Road to Perdition. I love that film.
That's the one I was just about to say.
Oh, sorry, I do apologise.
No,
mate. Right. Again, he seems to bring out the best. I'm not a big Jude Law fan. Jude Law in that film is fantastic.
Well, first off, it's got a massive cast.
It's got Paul Newman, and it's just, I love that film.
Yeah. So this is the one that came out in 2002. It was Castaway was 2000. Road to Perdition came out after that. It's inspired by a graphic novel. It's starring Tom Hanks in the lead. Yet Paul Newman's in it. It's kind of like the mob boss, the Rooney kind of top boss. Daniel Craig's his son in it. That's why I went back to rewatch it, because I was like, Daniel Craig to me has always been one of those, where did he come from? And then I forget, of course, he was in Road to Perdition. Jude Law, as you're saying, and it's got Jennifer Jason Leigh in it as well, playing Tom Hanks' wife. Yeah, it's just, so the setup to it is it's set in the Great Depression. So I think it's about 1931, the film's based. Tom Hanks is kind of like the kind of enforcer.
I was going to say, he's the enforcer for the aging mob boss, but the respected mob boss. Yeah. Not like someone who will shoot up a family, like the one that sorts out the actual problems.
Yeah. He's not an Al Capone style mob boss. He's more grounded.
He's like the neighborhood, like the unofficial neighborhood leader, that type of like.
Yeah, everyone likes him. He throws these big parties, these big wakes, that kind of thing. But you don't cross him, either way. But people just know not to cross him. And the storyline, unfortunately, is that Tom Hanks, again, so I say it's inspired by a graphic novel. Tom Hanks gets told to go with Daniel Craig to chat to someone who disrespected this mob boss. Things turn sour and it turns into a shootout, which unfortunately is witnessed by Tom Hanks' son, who kind of jumped in the car and wanted, because his son's kind of at that age where he wants to know what his dad does for a living, because his dad's very kind of comes home, expects tea on the table, very quiet man.
Yeah.
And to his son reads all these Lone Ranger novels. So his son thinks he's this kind of hero. So he jumps in the back of the car to see what he's, because his dad has to go out at night on a mission, and then sees actually what his dad is and what his dad does. And he's kind of horrified by that. But then the storyline is that it then becomes a revenge story, because unfortunately, because his son witnessed the murder that happened, Daniel Craig then assassinates. It's not a spoiler. It happens in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. Daniel Craig's character then assassinates Tom Hanks' family. He went to kill them all, but unfortunately only kills his other son and wife.
And the wife, yeah.
Which leaves Tom Hanks and the son who witnessed it to go on the run. And then the story is based that they're trying to get to Perdition, which is where their auntie lives. So it's kind of a safe house. But along the way, you get Jude Law, who gets hired as a kind of third-party hitman who's really good at getting the job done. And he plays this really weird...
He takes photos.
He takes photos of dead people as his day job for a newspaper.
Oh, right.
But he's also the killer as well.
Yeah, it's a film I'm sure I've seen, but because I don't remember Jude Law in it.
It's a film that keeps on going.
I've read there's a scene where he plays off brilliantly with Tom Hanks. And to me, when you see that on paper, Tom Hanks and Jude Law, I don't really think that's going to work.
Yeah.
But they both
Is that
brilliant.
the scene in the diner?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also I'm thinking towards the end, I don't want to spoil it because it's one of these films that I know has been out for a long time, but you should see it.
Yeah, you should see it. The end scene is brilliant.
Yeah,
So before we get there, the diner scene is absolutely brilliant where Jude Law and Tom Hanks meet and they don't say what they do, but they both work out why they're in the diner. One's there to kill, one's there to be the victim essentially. And it's a really good scene where they're steering each other off and they're kind of talking in code and you realise that they're both figuring out what's going on. And
I like that cat and mouse in that conversation because they do it quite early on, don't they? And they're just trying to now formulate what happens next. And I love that because they can't have a shootout because then they'll both die, they'll both get arrested or something like that. So it's just basically chess with words. And I think that's sensational.
Let's see what you do and then I'll show you what I've got.
Yeah.
It's that classic heat scene with De Niro.
I was going to say, it goes to show the classic diner scene is a big part of film culture, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of decent scenes where it's just good guy, bad guy talking to each other in a diner area.
You need that.
And it always works well.
You need that scene where the good guy and the bad guy meet because otherwise there's less tension in the final act.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they've met and they know what each other are capable. It's just like Die Hard. Yeah. He has to meet Hans Gruber before the final bit so they both know what each other's kind of capable of. You need to see that first. And I just think Road to Perdition was fantastic. And Paul Newman is fantastic as like that Asian boss.
There's this really great scene with Paul Newman and Tom Hanks playing the piano together early on at the beginning of the film. And it's this exchange of the original movie star and the new, and it's this trade-off over a piano scene that's really, really good. Really enjoyed it. And then what I really liked about the film as well is that towards the middle of the film, in comes Stanley Tucci.
Yep, the Touche.
The Touche. The Touche is God's gift to men and women. I love Stanley Tucci. He's such a beautiful man. And this is one of his earlier films when he had hair.
I know. I know exactly. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that too much because, like I say, I think it's one of these films that people should see.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Who
is he?
Oh,
you know who Stanley Tucci is.
No, I'm not even going to answer that question. Just research Stanley Tucci. You would have seen him in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
As soon as you see his face, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Okay. He pops up everywhere. Okay. Great film. Phenomenal ending to it. And I'm not going to give any spoilers, not because if someone might not have seen it, but I think it's one of those you have to witness what happens at the end. Because again, similar to Castaway, the final scene plays out at its own pace. It gets you there and then it lets itself unveil at a very, it's a very calculated but kind of giving scene at the end. And I loved it. I thought it was a perfect way to end a perfect film. And I watched it because I was looking at it and I was like, again, it's a film I'd seen with Tom Hanks in. And I was like, I'm certain he kills people in this film and he fires a gun. And Tom Hanks don't fire guns in any other film. I was like, no, I'm going to have to put it on now. And I was like, he's got a mustache as well. And I was just trying to figure out, I'd seen this film, but it didn't feel like a Tom Hanks film.
It's a weird one because I want to rewatch it, but obviously you and me have the same Now TV account. So when I banged it on the TV, it said recently watched that film. I was like, oh, well, if you've watched it, I best watch something
That's
else.
how I knew you would watch Apollo 13.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was like, no, well, if you've watched that, I best. That's why I put Apollo 13 on because I was going to watch that one.
The only other film that I watched, and it's leading to two more points that I've got, one on Da Vinci Code, remind me about that in a second, is Tom Hanks' earlier career. There's kind of 80s into 90s films. Now, I know that you've watched one of these, but Tom Hanks' earlier career is almost like a career in itself. Before he became the Tom Hanks that we know through kind of Forrest Gump onwards, maybe Philadelphia Forrest Gump onwards, when he became Oscar winner Tom Hanks. There were these films before that where he was this young American kind of teen, young 20s star that everyone loved. He was the kind of household name. Yeah. And he whipped out this kind of succession of films. And there was one in there that I hadn't seen. So I thought I'm going to go watch it. And that was The Bachelor.
I've not seen it.
Again, one I was gonna bang on. Well, when I looked at Tom Hanks films, I looked at whichever films weren't over 2 hours long, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a busy week, mate.
In the 80s, you had like Splash, Money Pit, Dragnet.
I love Dragnet.
Yeah, The Burbs and Joe vs. the Volcano. No, Joe vs. the Volcano is a great film.
Not seen it.
No.
Yeah, he plays a hypochondriac who finds out he's dying.
Oh, I have seen
really?
it.
And,
yes, I have seen it.
Yeah, and so he decides to trade his life for money, but basically there's a volcano that's going to erupt and there's a native kind of tribe on the island that have to sacrifice someone each year into this volcano. So it's kind of like, look, we'll give you a load of money, have a load of fun, but ultimately we need to throw you in this volcano at the end.
All right.
But along that way, he finds love through Meg Ryan, who he then later reunited with in Sleepless in Seattle.
And then later reunited with You've Got Mail.
It's perfect films.
A trilogy of love.
You've Got Mail was the 1999 Tom Hanks film because it won that year for best film with Blade and Titanic. They were the 3 films that year, and The Matrix. I remember Blockbuster had a big Blockbuster in Lincoln used to have this film of the year at the end of every year, and they had 4 that year. They said that they couldn't pick between You've Got Mail, The Matrix,
Blade,
Titanic, and Blade.
I love Blade.
God.
Yeah. 4 complete different genres.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, and then look what happens when Tom Hanks stopped starring with Meg Ryan. She went off the rails. This proves the power of Tom Hanks.
It really does, doesn't it?
But I watched The Bachelor because I knew the other ones like the Burbs so The Burbs is the one where he plays the kind of in the suburban area and they think that a psycho family's moved in, a murderous family.
Burbs is perfect.
Yeah.
Burbs is one of my perfect films. I watched it when I had Operation. I used to film. I watched twice in hospital because it kind of it's just fun. Again,
Lifted
it's
you
just
slightly,
a good film.
lifted your mood, made you feel good.
Also, I'm terrible with that style of actor. You know, the neighbour, the old man.
Yeah.
He's fantastically creepy, and no matter what he does, even if he doesn't play the creepy guy, he's still got that quality.
He's that guy who pops up in films. You're like, oh, there he is.
There he is. There's that creepy bloke. I wonder if he'll be creepy in this.
He could be cast as in every film as like creepy neighbour,
Yeah.
creepy caretaker, creepy school janitor. You know?
He would never be cast as the dad.
No.
He would always be cast as
creepy
the
uncle.
neighbour. Yeah, exactly.
So out of those films, I thought I'm going to watch The Bachelor because it's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this, I think it's about an 84 era. And it's Tom Hanks plays a bus driver for a Catholic school. So straight away at the beginning, it's a comedy and it's kind of American Pie before American Pie went to that level. It's about a guy who's getting married and on the eve of his wedding, his friends throw him a bachelor party and it's all about can he deny himself the temptations of another woman, that kind of thing.
Right, okay.
So it's really out of character for who we know Tom Hanks is now, to be in a film where that's kind of the premise. And knowing who Tom Hanks is now, the film doesn't age well, I think is what I'm saying. If you watched it when it came out, it might have been a great hit. It might have been really funny. And
Tom Hanks was that guy at the time.
Yeah. But watching it now, I just thought, Tom, what are you doing? And secondly, the supporting cast chew the scenery. There's this one guy in it who plays the jock mechanic, obsessed with women on a bachelor party, on a stag do. And, and like every scene's like, we're the women, and then the next scene's like, we're the girls. And you're like, we get it. You're that guy.
You like women.
You're the alpha
done.
male of this group. We get it. You're on a bachelor party. We get it. And he made it intolerable, this film.
Oh, really?
And I must admit, you got to kind of like the last 20 minutes and the washing machine finished and I thought I'll just go get the washing out. And then,
Brilliant.
That's a review.
And anyone who knows me knows that the fridge is next to the washing machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick little cheese sandwich.
Anything on it?
Bit of mustard, bit of
Anything
lettuce. Got a bit of raw onion in there.
I like to sprinkle a bit of salt on that, Just a little bit.
A little bit of light mayo as well, James.
Okay. What kind of bread did you say that?
Wholemeal.
That was wholemeal.
So
anyway, this has been a podcast. I need to eat.
This sandwich was pretty good. The film wasn't that great.
What do you remember most, the sandwich or the film?
Did you just hear that?
Clearly
description of
the sandwich.
That sandwich that's the best review I've given. It was that sandwich.
Do you still think about it?
Yeah.
How many rate it out of Tom Hanks? Is
I'd
it
give
the
this
road to
sandwich-
perdition of sandwiches?
I give this sandwich 4 Tom Hankses.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow.
It's good.
I should have one of these sandwiches. I'd like to try one of these
I
sandwiches.
finished it and then I was like, oh yeah, the film. And I went back and and I don't think I missed much. But yeah, out of those films, out of the kind of like the Splash era, those early Tom Hanks films, they're really interesting to, you could look at those, them kind of first 10 years of Tom Hanks' career. And I think he's a different kind of performer. Really came out of the show with some of those Oscar roles in the 90s.
Well, the weirdest thing about Dragnet is I think the first buddy cop film I ever remember seeing is Lethal Weapon. So every buddy cop movie has the guy who plays by the rules and the crazy one who doesn't.
Now, on that, before you finish, in Turner and Hooch, which one plays by the rules?
The dog.
The dog's the lawbreaker. It's Tom Hanks who breaks the rules. Who follows the rules.
Continue.
In Dragnet, Tom Hanks plays the Mel Gibson off the rails, the cool guy doesn't play by the rules. And I just thought that was a bit weird.
Yeah, because Dan Aykroyd plays his partner in that.
The problem with so I love Tom Hanks, I love Dragnet, but that is Dan Aykroyd's film.
Yeah,
Dan Aykroyd is, and it is not reviewed very well. Not a lot of people like Dragnet. I love Dragnet.
I liked it. It's the one they're investigating the court again, isn't it?
Yes.
It's after a is it pornography director?
Yeah, and there's kidnappings and things like that. Yeah, and he's dressed up as a giant bird.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's nonsense. It's obviously based on a very serious police drama, and they've gone a different route with it when they remade it.
The wackier it gets towards the end, Dan Aykroyd stays in character all the way through it.
And that's what's funny about it. And I just think it's Dan Aykroyd's film, and Tom Hanks is very good in it, but Dan Aykroyd.
I like how on Now TV, if you hover over it, it says Tom Hanks stars alongside starchy detective Dan Aykroyd. And I think that's a great way of describing his character, that starchy. Yeah, that's one. Any other films you watch? So Bachelor, Dragnet.
No.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13, The Circle.
So obviously we should say, like, Tom Hanks is well renowned for films.
One just quickly to talk about, one of the most recent ones, and again, he was up for the Oscar. Bridge of Spies.
Yeah.
Which you and I have both seen, Sam.
Nope.
Brilliant, well-told story again, and he's very good in it.
Yeah,
Just
I've
not even heard of it.
Plays a person plays a lawyer who's put in a really awkward position, but still tries to do the right thing. Liked it.
Incredible true story.
Yeah.
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 It's like Argo. Like when you realise that it's based on a true story and you research it, you actually the film misses out quite some interesting things as well.
Yeah.
So
I won't go into too much detail, but it's that kind of time when Germany was divided. It does involve kind of Russian spies.
Yeah, the Cold War era.
And he plays a kind of middleman negotiator about getting back American hostages in return for. It's just.
What year was this?
A couple of years back, probably 2000.
2 years ago or something.
Yeah, I went to Kinema in the Woods to watch that.
I think he was up against Birdman, wasn't it? It was that year.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
I think that was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
because it starred. Who was the co-star in that with him?
No, I didn't want to mention his name because I can't remember, but he steals the show because he's turned into quite a big Hollywood A actor now.
Who is now Steven Spielberg's new go-to person.
He was like in BFG.
BFG.
Yeah. Again, we're doing a disservice to a fantastic actor.
That's the problem when you riff, because earlier when you mentioned Finn, that's obviously John Boyega, isn't it?
Yeah, you see,
I could only remember his last name.
Yeah,
I got John, but I couldn't. I did look and I couldn't pronounce his surname. I didn't want to come across racist, so I just said Finn.
Yeah, it's names always come to me after we've finished talking about films.
Yeah, I liked him. Finn was good in it.
He's talking about the circle now. He's gone back to the circle. He's gone full circle. Ba-dum-dum.
He's here all week. Obviously, it's Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance is So Mark Rylance.
I was just about to say that.
Famous for theatre more than film.
But he's brilliant. I really liked him, and he does such a good job of playing the shady kind of Russian spy. And again, it's a film that I really, really enjoyed, but I couldn't really tell you why.
He was in Ready Player One. He plays the guy who creates
he plays the
system,
guy who creates the
who hides
Oasis.
the egg.
Oh right.
Yeah. So it's him.
If you've noticed, you now see him in a lot of films now. But you never used to, just like the bad guy from Rogue One, who now appears as the bad guy in everything. Again, the bad guy in Ready Player One.
I think, although he has been in film, he's famous. Like I say, he's famous for the West End and he's famous for theatre. And Sean Penn kind of pulled him out of that to be in a film called Gunman with him. And Sean Penn said that, if you're doing a serious film and you need someone who can follow direction, get someone from the stage, not an actor, not a screen actor.
Makes sense.
And then look what happened. He's kind of like that.
That's just really interesting to me.
Yeah. He's kind of that Christoph Waltz character who kind of comes into acting late and then all of a sudden starts winning supporting Oscars. You look at Christoph Waltz, won a supporting Oscar after his second film or something.
Oh, really? Wow.
Beat Robert De Niro in that year, and then he won the year after that for supporting actors again. Which is for Django Unchained. And, I don't know. I'm too tired to be thinking of films now. Tom Hanks.
There you go.
Tom Hanks films. Tom Hanks films. So my closing point with this then is that, like I said, Tom Hanks has had these really interesting career, and he's had such lovable films. I love Forrest Gump. I don't care, James, if you don't like it.
I was going to say we can't leave this and not talk about the fact James hates Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Now, I was actually going to tell you something about that, James. I thought I was going to connect you on an emotional level.
Okay.
The other week when you told us that you cried at Home Alone,
yeah,
I remember shedding a tear at Forrest Gump, and I thought that would bring you and me close together.
No, because it's understandable at Forrest Gump.
That's true.
Okay. I just don't know what it is. I just don't like it.
I loved it. I loved the insane storyline, the Gary Sinise again.
Yeah.
And just
again, not playing the bad guy. What's that about?
Who is awesome.
Yeah, so many supporting characters in that film that I just loved it throughout the whole ages, and the kind of lovable kind of character that he's got in it.
Yeah.
But then you look at some other times. Now the one that really tanked that I was on about earlier was Cloud Atlas.
I've never seen it. Isn't it from the Wachowski? No, it's not
It's
them.
the
is
Halle
it?
Berry one, and
It's the Halle
it's
Berry,
about
and
love.
it's got Hugh Grant in it.
It's
no
like
interest in
love
seeing it.
through various mediums of story. Like, I never watched it. I did want to try and track it down and see if it was as bad as everyone said it is, but I didn't have time to get it.
So it's not going in my hole today, then, that one.
Not until I've seen it to suggest it. We'll talk about your hole in a bit in case this is the first episode anyone listens to.
Yeah,
so my way of summarizing it is obviously the Dan Brown books.
Yes.
So Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and then Inferno.
I've only seen Da Vinci Code.
I've seen Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons.
Now, they are questionably the other than films like The Bachelor, they're kind of the smudge in Tom Hanks' career, I think, to many critics' eyes.
I don't mind the second one.
A lot of people moan or have concerns with the source material, that Dan Brown is this kind of, I don't know, kind of author that people when they say, I read Dan Brown, it's not, the kind of thing you brag about, which I think is unfair, because I think if it's an interesting story in it, and I'm a big advocate, if anything makes you read, it's a good thing. But
you've read them all, haven't you?
Yeah, I've read all the Dan Brown ones, yeah. But I think they're always the ones on it. But if you look at the caliber of supporting cast in them, you got Ian McKellen in the first film, Ewan McGregor in the second film, and then you got Felicity Jones in the third film. That's your link to Finn in the Star Wars films. Not in the same Star Wars film, but the same universe. Now, my theory behind Tom Hanks doing those is that Tom Hanks' early career came from Ron Howard. Tom Hanks appeared on an episode of Happy Days, kind of a one-line scene, which was where Ron Howard was.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Howard then asked him to come in to do a line reading for the film Splash.
Mm-hmm.
He then actually got the lead part in that across from Daryl Hannah, which is in like 84 or whatever it was, which kind of catapulted Tom Hanks into the spotlight. So Tom Hanks has everything to owe to Ron Howard for his career taking off.
Yeah.
And as Ron Howard's career has started going down the toilet somewhat, I think Tom Hanks is like, I'm going to help you out now by being in your films. That's the only reason I can think
I don't
Tom
think
Hanks
Ron
would
Howard's
bring him
gone
into
down
this
the
one.
toilet, has he?
Well, Backlash, he peaked. Backlash was a great film.
I sense sarcasm.
No, I like that film.
No,
I was going to say, I remember him telling me he was trying to get me to watch
the
that.
Firefly film. I like that one. Yeah.
I like Backlash.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell. I like anything with Kurt Russell in.
But and then the final link is that obviously they shot scenes for Da Vinci Code here in Lincoln.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
Get it back to Lincoln.
Yeah, so the final scene in the film was shot here in Lincoln at the Lincoln Cathedral.
Did anyone go where Tom Hanks spot in? Apparently, it was
No.
very nice.
Well,
a friend of mine was at the hotel he stayed in. Was it the White
was the-
Hart or Swan or something? Anyway,
Yeah, it's a White Hart.
apparently it was very, very nice. Stopped, talked to all his fans. Brought his family with him as well.
But wouldn't do autographs.
But he won't do autographs. No, apparently he doesn't do
No,
autographs.
and this is the...
Tell that thing you told me earlier, because I
Yeah.
was laughing my ass off.
So he wouldn't give autographs because he's worried about people selling them or kind of faking them and selling them on eBay and
selling
that
them
kind of
on
stuff.
Yeah.
So a young boy stops him outside the hotel and says, "Oh, can I have your autograph, Mr. Tom Hanks?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, son, but I don't give autographs." And they went back in the hotel, took a box of cornflakes, brought them back out and went, "But you can have these."
How amazing is that? Have these cornflakes.
Wouldn't you rather just have cornflakes from Tom
Yeah,
Hanks?
I think I
Yeah.
would, to be fair.
Yeah.
You just lose a signature on a bit of paper.
Great guy, Tom Hanks. He is a warm hug or a potato, if you're James.
He's a potato.
Yeah, I think.
Excuse me, that's not an insult. He's a good potato.
And like all good actors, of his generation, he's still obviously got so much more to give. And we haven't even talked about things like Captain Phillips. Captain Phillips is the last 10 minutes of that film is some of the best acting you will ever see in your life.
Is that the film where you said you welled up a bit?
Yeah, God, I was gone in the last 10 minutes. Yeah, I was in the cinema. I think it was only like 3 people in there. And the film isn't outstanding all the way through. It's a good film. It's a watch. It's a good true story.
I've not heard a
as
bad
well.
thing about it. to be fair.
Happened relatively in terms of making a true story as well. I think the actual story of Captain Phillips only happened kind of.
Oh, it only happened like a
recently.
few years ago.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
so it's a pretty quick turnaround to make it a film.
The crew, though, don't like the film because it makes the real life Captain Phillips look heroic, and they just say, "Yeah, he wasn't like that."
Well,
So-
regardless of that, the film.
Oh,
the
no,
film
yeah,
is
completely
great, and it
regardless.
builds and builds and builds, and then the final 10 minutes of the film, which is so it's it happened recently. So Captain Phillips does survive the experience because he wrote the book, which turned into the film. After it all ends, they pull Tom Hanks into a medic's room.
Yeah.
So after everything's happened, his reaction. So obviously he's been brave all the way through it, and he's had to kind of stand up to these Somalian pirates all the way through the film. And then obviously when he gets rescued at the end and he goes in the medic room, it kind of all hits him like what he's been through.
It breaks down.
Oh my God, this scene is phenomenal. This this scene, it's not even acting, it's that good. He just breaks down. It not like blubbering neither, just starts panicking. Just watch the film. And again, it's one
I'm going to. I can't wait to see that.
It's one of them films where if I watched it with someone and they were on their phone in them last 10 minutes, I think I would scream.
Did you see it with Emily?
No, I think I would absolutely scream in them last 10 minutes if someone was to just, like I say, kind of not pay attention to it. What's happening? Tom Hanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom Hanks.
Closing thoughts, James?
No. I'd agree. Piece of potato.
One particular one to watch?
If I had to pick one, I'm going Road to Perdition because I think you get a full range of his acting ability in it. And I do think the relationship with his kid, which is very bad, and, he's... some of it's quite cliche, but I really like it. I think you get a full good range of his acting. Or, Dragnet, because I'd love Dragnet.
Why not? Sam, top pick?
Toy Story.
I'm so glad you said that because that's what I was going to jump in with.
Yeah, Toy Story, because it's not that long and it's just a good film.
I'm glad you picked a film we haven't spoken about.
And you have got a friend in me, James.
All of the Toy Story films are glorious. I can't wait for the next one. Final quick facts on that. The reason that they can keep bringing these films out is because Tom Hanks doesn't drink or smoke. His voice hasn't changed in 20 years.
All right.
So they can still bring out these films. He's still got the same pitch and stuff. If you watch the kind of interviews he's had.
Tim Allen doesn't strike me as the sort that looks after himself. So why is Buzz Lightyear still in them?
I don't know.
Because they've got to.
Well, yeah. I love him and I love Tim Allen and.
So I think we've got a pretty good range. What about social media? Oh, sorry, I do apologise, Aaron. Well, you didn't get.
No, it's fine. I'd put in there. The list big.
Yeah, I like big. Yeah. So, as always, we always like to get our fans' opinions on things. So, Sam, what other films have
our fans?
Yeah, we've got loads.
Do you mean the people that just spoke to us on Facebook?
Yeah, pretty much.
The guys that like to talk about films.
Ticket holders. Yeah, ticket holders out there.
So Chibs, he did mention the Dan Brown films. I think he did say he preferred the books, didn't he?
Preferred the books, but then didn't he go on to say that Green Mile?
No, he picked the Castaway.
Again, I think Green Mile, we're definitely going to talk about like its own special thing. We're all huge fans of Green Mile. So.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, how do we not talk about that? Toby was Forrest Gump, Amy Froggatt, Green Mile, Andy Birchall, big fan. He picked Catch Me If You Can, Toy Story, Terminal, Green Mile, Turner and Hooch, Tierney, Hill, Forrest Gump, Charlie Summers, Turner and Hooch, and Saving Private Ryan. Steve Shannon, Toy Story, all three Toy Story films he liked, and Forrest Gump. Melanie Lockhart, Burbs, Joe versus the Volcano. Anthony Fitzsimons, Captain Phillips, and Claire Warren went Green Mile and Lady Killers.
So a couple there we didn't talk about Lady Killers.
Yeah.
Green Mile.
How do we not talk about Green Mile?
No, I think we were going to keep it, weren't we?
Yeah.
We've got some sort of...
That will come up.
Green Mile will always come up.
Definitely.
Probably in like the best bad guys because Percy's fantastic.
I imagine Stephen King.
Stephen King
to film.
100%.
The one I'll quickly mention there is Lady Killers because I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan. Do not like the Lady Killers. I don't want to end negatively. I do like his acting style in it. I just don't think there's enough to.
So now counteract that, James, and say The Terminal is one on that list that I would probably watch.
Yeah,
it's not a great one, but it's definitely a Sunday film.
Sunday afternoon film.
Don't really like Terminal, but on the ones that we've talked about today, I would like to give. I will go back and rewatch some of them. Like Catch Me If You Can. It's actually been a while since I've seen Catch Me If You Can, and I do remember really liking that when it came out.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can and Terminal are obviously true stories adapted into like Captain Phillips and Bridge of Spies and such. Catch Me If You Can again is one of them where it's an unbelievable true story.
And Sully, because I haven't actually seen Sully.
Sully again, I love Sully.
That.
Really surprising because one of my fears is one of my reoccurring nightmares is planes crashing. So I was like, I don't particularly like flying. I do fly, but I don't particularly like it. So, but I really enjoyed Sully. Clint Eastwood, probably we'll talk about that in the Clint Eastwood section that we're going to do at some point. About Clint Eastwood as an actor versus being a director.
I think that one's going to be brutal.
Episode 3 of our podcast is already the longest one we've done, so we need to start summing this up. At the end of each episode, we start talking about the Vault, which is the immortalizing films, the top 100 really from our quest, if you like. So the real reason why we are a podcast is to explore films and try and find the very best that the movies have to offer. So we kind of came with the Vault. I think it'll get a better name along the line of something better. But for now, it's a classic Vault. A few films have already gone in there. From Tom Hanks, then, is there any Tom Hanks films? Is there one above the rest that would go in?
So Saving Private Ryan has got to be.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And Apollo 13.
So again, at the moment, with there only being about 7 films in it, you can throw in what you want. It'll be more interesting when we fill it to 100, and then we can start
See what we get rid of.
Moving some out to move some in. But yeah, Saving Private Ryan, definitely. I'd put Big in there. And it'll probably go, like we said last week with some of them, it'll probably go at some point, but it's such a great film.
I like Big because I can't think of anything negative about it. So I do remember really enjoying that film. I'm happy with Big.
If you go to New York, you can go to F.A. Schwartz where they go and do the famous piano dancing scene.
Yeah.
And so I went in there and they do a demonstration like every hour.
Oh, really?
So they do the song, 2 people jump on the walking piano and do it.
Oh,
And then when you come out of F.A. Schwartz, it's on the corner of Central Park, but straight across the road is the hotel that Home Alone 2 was filmed in.
Beautiful.
Where Donald Trump refuses to help a child.
So what we're saying then, Saving Private Ryan in the vault.
Because
Innocently,
yeah.
Saving Private Ryan because it's Vin Diesel's best film.
Big. Any others? Any others you bang in?
Road to Perdition.
So many Tom Hanks films I've
Road to Perdition.
Toy Story. I mean, just
I would put Toy Story as a
a
series.
lot of people say Toy Story 2 is better than Toy Story 1.
No, Toy Story 3 is better, isn't it?
I liked all 3. I
like 3 because it's genuinely, for essentially an animated film, it's got one of the heartbreaking endings where they just kind of like hold hands and accept death.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, these are kids' toys and they're handling death better than me.
We'll do Toy Story when Toy Story 4 comes out next year. So we'll obviously review the first 3, and I think that'll be a week that we all look forward to.
Oh, God, yeah.
So in the vault, then we've put Saving Private Ryan, Apollo 13, and Big.
Mm-hmm.
Again, subject to change. These will be moved around, or they will be some might be replaced for other films at some point. The opposite to Sam's Hole, to the vault is Sam's Hole.
Sam's Hole and Sarlacc's Pit. I don't think these need to come out today.
I would put into Sam's Hole is the void where we never are allowed to. Well, we're not allowed to talk about the film ever again.
Yeah,
in the
it's
context
one
of
and
the
done.
podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go as far as to say that. In Sarlacc's Pit, I would throw The Bachelor. I don't think it dates well. I think it's finished, and I think it's let down by the supporting cast, not necessarily Tom Hanks. I don't think the storyline's interesting. I think it's actually quite a waste of time watching the film.
It's in.
I really don't like The Lady Killers, but I don't think it deserves to never be spoken about again.
Oh, that's the point. Just thinking. So we've only got 9 films in the vault so far. 10. Are we putting that sandwich in that you made?
Yeah, the sandwich goes in.
I don't mean to sound like a sandwich slut, but I've had better.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you about them in another podcast.
Okay.
The sandwich podcast.
So tune in next week for the sandwich edition.
What's the best thing you've eaten during a movie? It's when I smuggled a Chinese into the cinema once.
Sandwiches in films. Just a look over the years.
Evolution of a kind.
So let's end the show like we do each and every week, i.e. last week.
Because we forgot the first.
With What's in the Box, so it's just a recap.
Bear with me while I get the box.
Yeah, so I'll get the box while I recap. Is that I've collected every cinema ticket from every film I've been to visit or been to see since about 2002. I do know the oldest dating film in there, but I'm going to wait and see if it gets pulled out one day. This is back when Odeon cinema tickets were green, and then they turned orange, and now they're the paper white copies that you get. So I don't know how many films are in there. You can have a look on social media. We've took a photo of them all. And today we'll also put a photo of the box up as well.
I think what we're going to have to do at some point as well, we're going to have to add up all the prices on them and find out how much you've actually spent and get some goodies.
Yeah, so I will do that at some point. Sam has picked one out of the box, or he's going to pick one out of the box. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and discuss it very quickly just to end the show. And who knows, it might make the vault, or it might make the pit, or it might make the
pit
of
Snarlack.
Yeah, so let's see.
Can I just say, James, what seat did you sit in the other day to watch Hotel Artemis?
G6, wasn't it?
Right, so G6.
Are you kidding?
Aaron, no, I'm not.
Is it Screen 4?
No.
Oh, it is the old cinema anyway.
G6, and this is, I can't quite remember, it's 23rd of the 5th, 2009, Aaron. You went to go see Night at the Museum.
Yes, I did.
yeah, like you remember.
And
I know he does
specifically.
I remember watching this film. I remember watching this film, James, because you and Sam were having a drink at the pub next door just before I went in to watch the film.
Correct, we was.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
That's scary.
So we watched Night at the Museum.
I now know the night you're talking about.
I think I now know the night you're talking about.
Good stuff. So I'll kick us off with Night at the Museum then. Night at the Museum, Ben Stiller film.
Yeah.
It also star Robin Williams.
I was going to say, Robin Williams plays like
he's a miniature cowboy, is he?
No, Robin Williams plays the president.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Thingy's in it. Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais is
Owen
the museum
Wilson.
owner. Yeah.
He's
So
yes.
Steve Coogan, Ricky Gervais, Robin Williams, Dick Van Dyke's in it at the beginning.
Oh, wow. Oh, does he play the old?
Yeah. So the
old Night's Watchman.
basic premise of the film: Dick Van Dyke is the night watchman, if you like, of the museum. Ben Stiller is the new guy, and there's a tablet in the museum that is keeping people alive, or it's making the puppets or the mannequins and the displays come alive at night time, and it's kind of giving life to those that are in the museum, and that's why Dick Van Dyke is like 150 in this film. And
To be fair, I think that's his actual age.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller comes over and obviously realizes that at night time everything comes to life, including characters like Robin Williams, who plays Teddy Roosevelt.
He
on that
does.
film.
Yeah, it's Teddy Roosevelt.
That's
Yeah.
why I was chuckling. Just
Yeah,
best
plays
casting.
Teddy Roosevelt. You've got Owen Wilson and Steve Coogan playing miniature Romans and cowboys.
I could be completely off base. Isn't he in love with like an Indian model in Night of the Museum?
Who,
of
Robin
Rogers?
Williams?
Yeah,
Yes, he is,
Theodore
yeah.
Roosevelt.
Yeah, yes.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I do know what that character's name is, but in the fear of getting the pronunciation wrong,
Yeah, that's
I'm not going to do it. So it's just about this idea, and then I think like a mummy wakes up, doesn't it, and tries to steal the tablet that's keeping everyone alive.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and the premise is,
Obviously.
and if you leave the museum and the sun rises, if you're not back in the museum in your original place, you die. Essentially.
Oh, that's dark.
That's the premise of it. So it's about it's about Ben Stiller rounding up those that go AWOL and trying to get this tablet back and getting everyone back in the building. It is a bad film, but there are some really funny and interesting scenes in it. Steve Coogan and Owen Wilson, who were both only meant to be cameos, but the screen testing proved that popular that they gave them full roles in it, are brilliant.
They were funny, weren't they? They played off each other brilliantly.
The scene where they deflate the tyre in the car park is absolutely hilarious.
Don't remember any of this.
Oh, man. And then I could also tell you as well that Ben Stiller imitates his best friend Tom Cruise's running style in it. So if you ever watch Tom Cruise running, he has a very specific way of running.
He
And
does.
if you watch Ben Stiller running in this film, he's imitating and doing an impression of Tom Cruise running. But other than that, like I say, it's a pretty, I wouldn't say forgettable film, but an interesting thing is, and why I think I remember it so well, is that I went to New York, actually linking into what I was saying about F.A. Schwartz and the hotel from
Yeah. Home Alone
2. When I went to New York, I also went to the museum, the Natural History Museum in New York, to watch it. And then you think you know the building because you've seen the film. You think you're going to walk in and see this giant dinosaur, these bones of a dinosaur, of a T-Rex as you walk in.
It's just Theodore Roosevelt.
And you think you're going to see Roosevelt there, and you think you're going to see the Ricky Gervais as the manager. And I know it's movies and this doesn't happen, but you walk in and the building on the inside when you're in through the doors, nothing like that film.
It's nothing from the movie is ever true.
How dare they?
There are things in there that are in the film, like there's a capuchin monkey in one of the areas, and there's a big stone Easter Island looking thing that likes to chew chewing gum in the movie. That is in there. They're not where and I'm a bit like that. But I should say on this particular trip to New York, I also looked at Dialed 3 and I realized
The taxi scene, wasn't
there's
it?
no way you can get from Central Park to Wall Street in, I think, like the 7 minutes that Simon gives him.
Yeah, but what if you get a blocker and head for the answer?
No, because in that bit, he's like, Simon on the phone's like, no rush. And he's like, of course there's a rush. It's like the other end. Like,
It's 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
By car.
Yeah, so that's reminiscing down memory lane. Now the museum, it's not good enough to go in the vault.
Nah,
it's not
it's
bad
what it
enough to
is.
go in a pit. It's not bad enough to go in Sam's Hole.
I do not even remember it. I do, when you two talking, that's about it.
There's definitely two of them.
Is there definitely a sequel? I do remember a sequel.
If I remember rightly, the sequel was terrible.
Smithsonian was the sequel, wasn't it?
I
Which
can't
had Jonah Hill as a.
Wow.
He was
wait, does he play Abraham Lincoln?
No, Abraham
Right.
Lincoln comes to life in it.
Jeez.
There's a statue of him because they go to Washington.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't remember much about the film other than I just didn't like it.
Yeah,
I think
I
the
don't
first.
think you can not like it. I mean, it's what it is, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm talking about the second one. I didn't like the second one. The first one definitely is one of those. I don't think it's a forgettable film because you say it. I think the majority of people can tell you what it's about. They know it's a museum, little things come to life, and there's the odd scene they remember, but you'll never remember the whole film unless
Surely,
you know.
doesn't it make like quite a good horror premise that
It could do.
exhibits come
Could
to
do.
life during the night and kill
I don't
people?
think Ben Stiller would be in that one, but
No,
Maybe not.
maybe Steve Coogan.
Owen Wilson
I'd watch
maybe.
it.
Wow.
Guys, that's been our podcast number 3, not all on, but we featured Tom Hanks and obviously reminiscing about films that we've seen this week. We're not going to do a theme for next week, are we?
No.
Yeah, I think we just sit around, we just chat films.
Yeah.
We'll go to the cinema once, twice.
It's going to be nice to I'm just going to watch a film.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about
Just see what we find.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go watch the Mission Impossible film probably tomorrow. So I might
Okay.
report back on that, but not an in-depth kind of analysis of it.
No.
Just kind of give my intake on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just explore this. Just
Yeah,
have another
Sam.
chat. If you do want to get in contact, we'll put some links on Facebook about asking some questions around films. Obviously, I'm interested in picking up the story around the fact that there's only 7 story arcs in many ways in film, and I'm going to challenge anyone to see if they can come up with a film that breaks that, maybe an 8th story. But other than that, that's been our episode this week.
Cool. Just before we leave, do you want to just give out our social media tags?
Go on then.
If I remember rightly, Twitter's SYIMS _ podcast.
Yep.
At Facebook, just Sorry You're in My Seat.
Sorry You're in My
Same
Seat.
for
And same for Instagram.
So please add us on these, comment, send us messages. You know, we do this to chat with you guys. We're just as interested as talking to you guys as we are each other. So please get involved.
Feel free to recommend a sandwich as well.
Oh, yes, please. Oh, God, yes.
No meat though. I'm a bit of a veggie these days.
I'm not. So meat,
No, do you know
please.
what? Do you know what I'm going to ask for? I'm going to ask for your favourite food and film combination. I'm going, just to get you talking, I'm going pizza. Die Hard. I can't. I love a good pizza watching Die Hard.
Pizza and everything, really.
I'm going Jack Daniels and the Clint Eastwood film. That's been our podcast this week. James, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sam, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Come
that's
round
all right.
anytime. See you later, guys.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Wilson, where are you? Wilson! 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 I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Wilson! Wilson, I'm sorry! I'm sorry!